Gwan, how you there? What's good? And you know who this is, baby. The number one podcast in America, dedicated to all you kings and queens of color, homies and homettes, shotters, woo gals, G-boys, and charges. The one and only JerkJollofandCollard Greens Podcast.
Wagwan, how you day? What's really good, everybody? Welcome back to the world's most cultured podcast, the JerkJollofandCollard Greens Podcast. Yes. And if you're surprised by the voice, like, Kilele, who is this now? Chopulating, my ears. Well, it's the people's king, your boy. Turn me down real quick. D Black in the building. And yes, I stole the hosting chair today, so please be prepared to brace yourself. So we got a banger for y'all today. In today's discussion, the JJC team will be speaking on the art of deception and persuasion while providing some tips on how to spot a liar and how to use persuasion in your favor. But first off, on today's episode, we got my boy G Ransom taking a back seat to me today.
Yes, sir. It's an honor. It's an honor.
And, we got my cousin, the franchise.
Yeah, what up, man? You just killed that, by the way.
No, thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying to step it up.
Yeah, that was a good first try. You remember that, how that rep yours went.
All right. We don't got Chunky today. We don't got Dre, but we want to send much love to our other fellas. But yeah, I think you guys have set the bar so high. I gotta come with that energy, you know what I mean? So anyway, now with that out of the way, I want to ask y'all a question. Have you ever been lied to? Have you ever been lied to and knew the person was lying? And I don't mean like, hey, where's the $50 you owe me? Bruh, I'm between jobs right now. Yet we see you on IG busting it down at the Megan Thee Stallion concert the other night, talking about hot girl shit. Man, hot girl better sit her ass down, go home and twerk on the couch. You dig? Shaniqua, next time I see you, I want my money, okay? Stop playing games.
Man, Shaniqua. I'm the one in the hood.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, everybody. I need to recompose myself real quick. Well, if you aren't a listener, if you aren't already a follower or perhaps tuning in for the first time, would like to learn more about the show, then definitely check us out on Instagram and Facebook at JerkJollofandCollard Pod. Additional ways to reach us provided in the outro at the end. But let's go into our first question just to kind of tease everybody, all right? Are you team Johnny Depp or Amber Heard?
My goodness.
Oh my God!
Hold
on. Right. All right. For those, let me give some context for people. So for those that may actually live under a rock, Johnny Depp was countersuing his ex-wife Amber Heard for defamation on the basis that she lied about him abusing her, which led to a destruction of his character and reputation. The trial has since concluded with Depp being awarded $15 million in compensation, which the judge ultimately reduced to about $10 million. But it also should be noted that Heard, who countersued Johnny Depp, won on one count of defamation and was awarded $2 million. FYI, right? The original suit was from Mr. Depp was for $50 million. And all this, is as reported by NBC News. But I want to ask y'all again, are you team Johnny Depp or Amber Heard?
Yo, Glenn want to get this first, or should I go?
I don't understand how you have a defamation suit, but you still make money on the defamation suit. Like, how is it that she's getting $2 million on one set of charges, but he's getting 10, and she's still guilty? Like, I don't understand that. That's like someone committing murder and getting rewarded for that. Like, we're gonna put you in jail, but you're gonna get like about 10 mil for what you just did. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that whole case does not make sense. I'm glad it's finally over because I'm tired of hearing about it and seeing it in my feed, and I haven't been following it. But what I've heard about it, defamation should be taken very seriously. It is potentially damaging, but I feel like these celebrities go through it all the time. And I think Johnny Depp has made worse movies that have slandered his career than anything that Shaky
Wow.
possibly said.
Oh my
But
god!
Wow.
I am enjoying the memes though. I saw one meme that said Amber Heard, welcome to OnlyFans and things like that.
Oh wow!
And then there was another meme where Amber Heard was in a what's that Korean show where people had to compete for money and kill each other. It was on Netflix.
Squid Games.
Squid
Oh,
Games.
yeah,
There was
Squid
another
Game,
one
yeah.
Woo,
where
that's a good one.
she was like, "Oh, I'm in this game because I lost a defamation suit." And I was just like,
Boy, oh boy.
"Good
Savage.
night."
Life
Should be
is shit.
taken seriously, but that
So you're
right
team
there,
Johnny Depp is what it sounds like.
I'm team nobody. I'm
Oh
team
damn!
judicial system because, like I said, she still made money on that. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't know.
Man, I'm Team Johnny, man. Because I mean, it's just kind of like I think it's set a precedent. Because there's a lot of guys that get sued for rape and abuse and all this stuff, and and it's like, how do we really like? How can we like make this instead of like how can we get some truth behind this? How can we trust people when they actually make this claim? Because so I think Johnny doing this, it kind of maybe I hope it put some fears in some of this, accusers' mind when they make those when they accuse their, like their victim or abuser or whatever, So yeah, for me, I'm definitely Team Johnny. So yeah, to Glenn's point, it is kind of funny how she won $2 million, and it's also funny that she says she can't pay for it. I think it's like, yo, it's just like I can't afford to pay this 10 mil. Like, yo, yeah, like tough shit, man. Figured it out. But
Oh man, my cousin's all the way team Johnny Depp right now, man. Well, I'm gonna just say my piece. Well, first of all, I think one is even though I don't think that there's true justice through all this, but I do think that it has sent a message for people who want to weaponize the legal system. I mean, I'll just say, like, there are real abuse cases happening all the time, real domestic violence, real terrorism, real like issues really going on. And it just sucks that we have somebody who's literally just wasted, public funds and the people's taxpayers' money and all these type of things and literally destroyed a man's character. Like, to the point, honestly, I was like, where's the next Pirates of the Caribbean? Where is it? Only to find out that it didn't happen because of, parts of this situation. So I would say it's kind of served as a bit of a deterrent for people who are wanting to look at using the legal system to kind of destroy somebody's character. That's just my take. But yeah, man, I'm Team Johnny Depp.
So because like, do you think there would be more defamation claim now from the
male side?
From the male or usually the male side. Yeah. Do you think there would be more of this kind of case coming?
I do think that there may be more people making an attempt, but as far as successfully winning, right? So a defamation case, I'm not a lawyer, right? But I did a little bit of research. In order for to win a defamation case, you need to have overwhelming evidence to win that case, because it's basically you trying to prove that this person, defamed you. And it's very difficult to do because you have to also provide evidence that they, that they did defame you, and then also that it impacted something financial specifically. Right. So like trying to make that correlation is so hard. But I do think that there are more people who might attempt to do it. But I do think that hopefully, I'm gonna say I think, but I hope it at least serves as like a message to say, like, if there's a domestic situation, you don't just take one person's side because they're crying and screaming and then they have a broken nose, but it's not really broken. But like, I hope it forces law enforcement, society, everyone to take a little bit more of a pause when people make claims, and just look a little bit more, be more scrupulous in these type of situations,
Yeah.
Sorry, but just another point there is just basically men have gotten the brunt of these cases, and we've seen it a lot, and basically being able to really discern what's a true case versus what is someone trying to ride off of a movement. And I think Amber Heard pretty much put a nail in the coffin of the Me Too movement in a way, with this case. And yeah, like you said, weaponizing the legal system, that's a very good point. That's why I'm team judicial system, because it's just like, I think the justice system worked for once. For once.
For once, but all the times that anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
because I'm thinking like of guys like even like Deshaun Watson, who claims all of this, he claims are false. Like he lost so much money, even though he just signed a big, I
The
guess
largest deal in NFL
yeah.
history.
So for him, he can't.
He's fine.
Yeah, for in this situation, he obviously can't file that. But like, you can think of other athletes or whatnot or actors who have been impacted by true or false claims of sexual assaults or abuse or whatnot, and has impacted their bottom line. So, but I do like the terminology you use. I can find the right words to really say what I was trying to say. But yeah, weaponizing the court system, I think that is appropriate. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's gonna be nice to kind of see how what the trickle down effect of this is, and how maybe if it set any precedents or not. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, I hope the trickle down effect is that we get another Pirates of the Caribbean. So, but no, but like seriously, on a real serious note, again, we think that domestic violence is a very serious matter, right? So the only request that we hope comes out of this, at least that I should say, I can speak for myself, that I hope comes out of this, is that all avenues of the case get taken seriously, from the accusations all the way to proving or disproving it. So not just taking what someone says, but really doing due diligence and making sure we confirm things. But on that note, as we talk about Amber Heard and all her lies, that brings us to our Rep Yours. So, well, if you like fiction, which is really appropriate here, our Rep Yours business today is Kumba Storytellers of Georgia. As an affiliate of the National Association of Black Storytellers, Kumba Storytellers of Georgia's teachers, actors, drummers, biblical pundits, educators, and librarians share and spread the love of storytelling. Kumba Tattletales for ages 7 to 15 is part of their Kumba Youth Storytellers program. They can be enjoyed by all ages. You can find them at kumbastorytellers.org. Yes, that's a .org, everybody. And also, I'll say that one more time. That's kumbastorytellers.org for all your storytelling needs. Without further ado, let's chop it up. I'm going to just ask y'all, I'm going to just straight get into it. Are you a liar? Why and why not? Fran, I'm gonna go straight to you because you smirking kind of funny.
Okay. Yeah, like before I answer that question, I just want to say I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is innocent or if it's guilty. So I just want to clarify that, So to your question, am I a liar? Currently in my life, man, I'm a grown ass man. There's no reason for me to lie, man. But was I a liar? Yes, I was. I lie my ass off growing up, man. Let's be real, man. For me growing up, it's actually funny because one of the things that I did that I didn't tell my parents, I did disclose to them at a later time in life. And I know that's also a question. Like if you lie about something, when do you do you come clean? Do you ever come clean, depending on how severe the issue is? But growing up as a Nigerian man, in a Nigerian household, I had to lie sometimes because my parents were so strict. They don't let you do anything. When you go out and I had to hide that I was drinking, that I go out. But later on in life, I realized, I had to really show them who I really was. I was tired of living a double life, and that really what I was doing. I mean, obviously there's other things in my life that I've lied about, I know we'll get into those type of lies, white lies, and whatever, how you want to classify it. But yeah, there's other things in my life professionally and or whatnot that I've kind of been through that we can kind of get into later as well. But currently my life, I'm a grown-ass man. There's nothing for me to lie about. I tell my parents know what I do. I don't need to lie to them no more. My wife, there's no reason to really, when she asks a question, I tell her the truth. So if she don't ask, I don't tell nothing.
Wow. I would say at this particular moment, I'm not a liar, but I have lied.
Are you lying
before.
about lying, bro?
Of course, at this particular moment, I'm not a liar. As
Okay,
of
okay.
10/52/2022, because we do record days in advance and release, I'm not a liar. But that may change tomorrow. That may change come tax time. You know what I mean?
Oh, damn.
There may, I would say a line. That's what did Trump say?
Wow.
Utilizing the loopholes. You know what I mean? Wise
Yeah.
accounting. That could change at any particular moment, but I try my best not to lie. I try to live as straightforward as possible. One thing I've learned though is to not disclose something is different from not lying. If you don't ask me, then you don't ask me, then I didn't disclose it. It's not a lie. I just didn't reveal anything. But if you ask me and I tell you something completely different, then I'm lying. But to answer it succinctly, at this moment, no, I'm not a liar. But I try my best to avoid lying.
So this man just said, not if you don't ask the question, and I don't give you a facetious, if I don't lie to you to your face, basically, then I'm not lying. But if you don't ask the question, that's on you. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna definitely get into that.
Ask no questions, tell no lies.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
all right.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say for me, yes, I'm a liar because I feel like to say to someone to say, I'm like, oh my God, he's a liar. Like, if you can honestly sit here and say at this point, listening to us, and say that you have never told a lie in your entire life, let's just pause for that.
Yeah,
You can miss me with that. Please,
That's a lie.
Jesus.
please miss me. You must be just born. You must have just been born. Okay, that's the only way that this happens. Because even when you was 5 years old, and did you take the cookies out of the jar? No, crumbs all up in your mouth. Come on now, you lied. You know what I mean? So,
Man, yo, I got a story about that. Talking about lying. Oh
Okay.
my God, my sister's gonna be so pissed. Putting on blast on this one. Talking about cookies. My mom bought like a bunch of candy. This was when she was younger, right? Bought a bunch of candy, a bag of it. And my mom was like, man, where's the candy go? And she lied. She like, I didn't touch it, just to find all the wrappers under her pillow. I was like, yo, why you lie?
you're gonna get that ass whooping regardless.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
what? Like, and if you're gonna lie, at least I did better. Like, come on. No, it's like stuffing it
Childlike mentality.
under your pillows and shit. No, anyways, I thought it was funny you said cookies, so I thought I had to put it on blast real quick.
No, man. And I think that actually ties perfectly into my next question, because she was lying because she didn't want to get her ass whooped, and she ultimately got her ass whooped, right?
Exactly.
So then, are there times when it is acceptable to tell a lie?
I'm gonna say yes and no. It's never acceptable to lie, but I can understand why someone would rather lie than to be like bold with something and then have to deal with the repercussions of it, especially if the person that's receiving the information can't handle it. I could completely understand in that sense why you would do it. I would say try best not to, but sometimes we find it a little bit easier, or sometimes it seems like it could be easier to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna just say, yo, I like your outfit, even though I really don't like it, but I'm just tired of looking at your outfit.
Stop looking at it, baby.
I think we all been there. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't like it, but apparently this person's really hyped about something. You know what I mean? They probably tell you something that they want to invest in, and you're thinking, nah, this is not a good idea. But this person just won't stop. Like, I remember I had this guy at my job, and I regret not paying attention because he was telling me all about Bitcoin before it popped off. And I looked at it and I'm like, he doesn't look really like somebody I can trust. He would tell me, hey man, he was dropping me all this gem and information. I'm like, yeah, man. I looked at it. Meanwhile, everything's in my unread. I just got tired of dealing with it. You know what I mean? And now I actually regret not looking at it because I probably could have had some Bitcoin by now. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I think it saves you a lot more lying to that person. Pretty much made them give me more and more and more. It did the complete opposite of what I thought it would do. Like, I thought he would just like back off and be like, yeah, you good. Nah, he kept coming with more and more and more information. So, I mean, I can see the reasoning as to why we think so, but I think it's best to try not to, because it really just ends up getting worse than you think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's funny because I mean, for me, the only time I would say it's okay to lie is when to protect yourself or someone that you love. But that making that statement also brought me to this question because I was thinking about this. I was like, we have countries that are currently in war over religion, right? Just imagine like somebody has a gun in your head, like, are you a Christian or not? And there are people who say if either you say yes or no, you could die. And and I was like, man, like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? Like, and then I even thought deeper about this, and I was like, well, in the Bible, even Peter and if even his disciple lied, like on knowing God, on Jesus, because when it came down to it, they were like, no, I don't know who that is.
Jesus.
Man.
I ain't never heard of him before in my life.
Yeah, so it's like, so it's really interesting. I was just kind of like putting that in perspective, like, but yeah, if like, yeah, if anything, that would probably be it. Then I was thinking, like, my mom used to every Sunday used to ask me, you went to church today? And I used to lie to her all the time because I didn't want her to feel like, because my mom takes some of this stuff to heart, because she always, even recently, because she found out like my brother went to a bar crawl. She was like, oh my God, what about you go and support because he say, this is what he said. He says, I went to a local bar to support the local bars. And my mom was like, what? My mom was like, what? I was the last time what about like you go and support some local churches? And so like, it's just because my parents are super religious, where I was raised in that. So I was kind of like thinking about like telling her, no, I didn't go to church. She always kind of feels like she didn't, like, I don't know. I feel like my mom takes it on a little bit, like she failed us in a way. So I used to lie to her, but now I just tell like, because even though I don't go, I try to watch it online. So I just tell her like, Mom, I didn't go, but I watched it online though. So, but yeah, so I do feel you though, because like you guys already used the example of your wife asking you or your partner, how do I look in this dress, stuff like that. And you have to kind of know how to guide some of those conversations a little bit, because you have to, protect each other feelings sometimes. So white lies and soft lies may come into play. So I may lie in the future, like Glenn said.
Well, I mean, let me
not right now.
So I think that yes, there are. If we just ask the question, are there times when it is acceptable to tell a lie? I say absolutely. In that example, when it's a life or death situation, you better lie to save that life. That's what I'm expecting you to do. If you like, is this the person that, so and so, if you don't tell me if that's the person, I'm gonna kill him right now. I'm gonna no, yeah, please lie, save me, please. And as I would do for you, you know what I mean? I feel like there are acceptable situations, when there's consequences that are irreversible. I think it's still just so interesting. We're all kind of brought up, with, you hear the word lie and you think that, oh, it just must be, you get this negative connotation with it automatically. But there are times where it is applicable, where it's necessary. And I think that, more than, and I would say more than acceptable, so then it kind of ties me to kind of like one of my other questions is just, all right, then if there are some acceptable times to tell a lie, right? Are there degrees to these lies? You know what I mean? And we talk about white lies and, like, as you said, soft lies, man, this man using business terms. Like, are there degrees to lies? Can we scale lies? Are there lies? So just to give it a little bit more context, right? When I say degrees to lies, like, are there lies that are to the point where, like, this is something you should never, absolutely, ever, no matter what, ever lie about, right? Like a high degree of that it just needs to always be honest. And then there are things that it's okay to lie about, or just everything, just either you lie or you don't lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there is, because even my one example, like, of not revealing everything, that could be considered a lie of omission. So where it's just like, I told you a partial truth, but I didn't tell you the whole truth. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's still a lie because you didn't reveal everything. You know what I mean? So I told you what may have happened and probably what you wanted to hear that could have happened, but I didn't tell you the full details. And I mean, I think to me, like, regardless, we want to get in a space, especially if you're like a Christian or, you know, I think the last thing you want to do is lie about your faith, because it's just like, if you're a Christian, you're going to understand that the persecution you'll face for, you know, defying God or admitting that you do not believe in God is going to be far greater than anything that could happen on earth. So
right.
it's like at some point, you know, I think we should do our best, but kind of like read the room. And I would say I'm probably guilty of most of the lie of omission, because I know how to read a room, and I know when there's a time to say something and when there isn't. So if in that event it is a lie of omission, then so be it. I am guilty of it. Because I think sometimes it's better to just preserve the peace. If something does not need to be said, there's no point in even bringing it up. If it's something that it can just blow over, it's, you know, not really an offense, then it's like, to me, there's no point in really raising it. Like, you don't have to reveal everything if something can just be squashed before it's made a bigger issue. Like, I don't go around telling everybody about what's going on in my relationship. You know what I mean? I may have good moments, bad moments. There may be a moment where Kim and I are pissed at each other, but I'm not going to sit here and air all of our business out. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're going to sit there and pretend like everything's good. And then when the time comes, we sit down and talk about it because we're doing it tactfully. So it's just like, there's no point in getting everyone involved. So I think there's a place to it. There are degrees to it. And it's just really looking at the, I guess you say utilitarian, like the greater good of the matter. And, you know, that coming with us sometimes even have to do things we don't want to do because we feel like it's necessary. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of hit on it already. Like the Johnny Depp cases, you know, if we're making the assumption that, you know, his wife lied about it, Amber lied about it, then we, you know, that's like one of the top most on, you know, I feel like at the highest scale of lie, when you like are defamation of someone's character and who they are, and which has a trickle impact on their well-being and how they can feed their family and all of that stuff. So I think that is on the top of the list. You know, one other lie that I think is maybe when it's okay is, you know, talking about like resumes. You know, sometimes we fluff our resume to, you know, somewhat, you know, exaggerate things that we do or don't do, you know, at work, you know, in which I would consider that like a soft lie, because, you know, be like, oh yeah, I manage this project, but in reality, like maybe the role that you're playing that actual project is so small, it's like negligible. Where, but you think,
damn, bro, that's a big lie though. No.
Like I'm just saying, like, but I mean, in reality though, like in the society that we live in nowadays, you know, companies want you to have like years and years of experience for some things. And, you know, I know I've been faced with that decision. You know, I've been lucky where I've been in the same company for 7+ years. So I haven't even, you know, I need to update my resume, but so I haven't been faced with that question in recently. But I know like back in the day when it's tough to find a job, like you do come to that question when you have some of the OGs who've been through it, and that's some of the things they did to get to be in the place they are at. Like, yo, just put this here, just put that, you know, just kind of fluff this here, or here and there, and you'll be good. So like, so I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do. I'm just saying that is like some of the things that, you know, where people have, you know, they do come with that dilemma all the time. I know integrity is really critical, is important, especially, you know, I think for me, I think the level of the job matters when you do kind of do when you fluff and you are like at a higher level of a company or like a high level of responsibility, and you're getting paid to like do, the employer thought you know how to do this and you're able to sell yourself during the interview process. I think that there's a level to it. But when you're just trying to get your feet in the door for a entry level job or whatever, just to get started, I think that's what I think is at least somewhat okay to do. So,
and I got a real good story about that. I was applying for this job And I said, it was like a MS Communications. It was a promotions job for a radio station. And I went in there like, yeah, man, I know everything about, the station. I'm a dedicated listener. I'm a faithful listener. I'm a hardcore listener. I listen to everything every day. I listen to the station every day. It was like, oh, word? They was like, I bet. So name some of our disc jockeys. Bruh, the sweat that came down my forehead, man. And it's crazy because I'm sitting there and I really wanted the job, right?
I'm
So I'm
dying.
sitting there and I learned from this. I was in my college days. I ain't know no better. So I'm like, yeah, so she was like, you don't know them, do you? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm like, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I
Yeah.
really want this job. And, I'm aware that I lied. I really don't know them, but I'm willing. I owned up to it. Like, I'm willing to learn who they are. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be upfront. And she ended my interview right then and there. Right after that, she was like, you know what? Thank you for coming through. Maybe next time, and have a good day. Because it's like, and at that point, I realized, you know what? Ever since that experience, I never come into an interview without doing my due diligence, yo. Like, I will research. It's better to know that if you're gonna lie on your resume or lie during an interview, make sure you Google that shit first. All right. It's like, if you're gonna say that you have experience with this and that, just Google, learn a little bit about it. You know what I mean? Because at the same time, they may not be asking that you're A level, but if you know at least a little bit about it to talk through it, then some people will test you, and don't think you're gonna go and not get tested sometimes. So if you're gonna do that, we're lucky we're in the day and age where you can literally YouTube something. So if you're gonna do that, just make sure you know a little bit about it and don't get embarrassed like I did, because that may end some of your possibilities.
So Glenn, sounds like you are okay in lying on your resume. Is that
I
what you
mean, I feel like a lot of people do, and not to say that because a lot of people do that it's okay, but if you may not be as good as it, but my thing is, if you actually know something about it, then that's good enough. You know what I mean? It's not like you go in there not knowing a damn thing. Because what I ended up doing, I got the job eventually. I re-interviewed a couple months later, did my homework. When I got asked the same question, it was for another station, but I was still able to work within the company, and that was my goal. So not that you can't recover, but it was a very necessary experience for me, learning on how to approach the job and when you want it. So if you're going to do it, my thing is at least know something about it, so it's not a complete lie.
Yeah.
Or you're willing to at least learn it while you're on the job, or brush up on it before you get in. That's how it is, because honestly, some of the experience that some of these jobs are asking for, I feel like they use it as kind of barriers to kind of boot people out from opportunities. So it's like, if you're going to do it, just make sure you know your stuff by the time you get the job or you go on that interview.
Yeah, I think we're talking about something very, pertinent to this, day and age with the job market being so competitive. Me personally, I don't think that it makes sense to add a bunch of things on there that you have no level of acumen in. But now, if you're saying, if something says like, have you ever swept before, but you've mopped, then you kind of speak to the sweeping part. You speak to maybe it's relatable, or you have experience in it. You can tie it to each other. So I get that. Or even if you kind of embellish a little bit on, how much you've kind of done something. Maybe you've done it 25%, but they're really kind of looking for like 30%, and you say you got the 30%. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's something that's widely done in the industry. And then I will say, even to the point where some of these job descriptions, like the language that they use is just so very specific. So you try to relate your skills to that line and say, well, I kind of do that and I kind of do this, and kind of piecing it together. Me personally, I don't necessarily think that is lying. I think that's taking your current experience and kind of applying it to, what you're looking for, what the job is looking for, because you may have done something, but not done something in the exact same conditions that they're looking for, right?
Right.
Like, you may have managed the situation, but maybe you haven't managed, maybe it's a soup kitchen. You haven't managed a soup kitchen, but you've managed people, you've managed projects, you've managed activities. So it's still relatable,
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit different. But then my question is, as we are all admittedly liars, and how do you
Like,
spot a liar? How, like, what skills do you need to spot a liar?
man.
Fran.
Yeah, I think like omission, like I think Glenn kind of hit on it. Like when you like, I think one of the things is when somebody start like omitting small details of information. Those are like some of the signs you look at, like, okay. And you like feel like you like have to like pull information out of that individual. And I think that's one sign that you can always kind of rely on.
Mhm.
Another thing is like when people like really don't know what they're talking about, they start talking in circle and really, always like trying to find fillers, to really kind of help, fluff up whatever they are saying. So so yeah, I think that's another part. And I was gonna say like making eye contact and all of this like body language stuff. And I want to stay away from that because there are some cultural impact, a cultural like that impacts people who don't make eye contact or the way their body language. So I don't want to like use that as a way to spot a liar, because if in your culture you're not supposed to look at someone in the eye, even for us Nigerians, growing up in Nigeria, that was a thing that we're not supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what don't do.
But like now we had to adjust, and now that we live in the US, we had to adjust to that. And so like, and I'm sure like even our Asian and Indian, like Asian part, coworkers and stuff like that, or counterparts, and and everybody, I'm not trying to exclude anyone, but everyone pretty much has their own cultural influence that kind of impact how they kind of present things. So, but yeah, I guess just kind of, yeah, I'll probably say the way people omit stuff, information, or just how they when they start like going in a circle. I'll probably use that as the two maybe for now, and see what you guys have to say.
I would say, we live in a day and age where information is everywhere. So it's like knowledge is really power, and most liars will not take the time to really. I think a lot of it has to deal with who they feel they are within that relationship, that they feel they can lie to the person. And I think whenever you're dealing with someone that's lying, the first thing I think about is, okay, if this is a lie, do I really care that much about that? You know what I mean?
Question.
Like, am I really that bothered by the lie? Like, how does it affect me? How does it affect my relationship with this individual? And why am I really concerned about this? And in the end, if it doesn't really affect me or the relationship, I'll just let it go, because at the end of the day, my thinking is, okay, this person has to live with fulfilling and continuing this lie. And I think with most liars, you'll see things don't really add up at the end of the day, because I feel that my saying is time is the teller of all truths. Because if you're lying about something over time, that story is going to continually change. It's going to continually evolve. It may get a little bit more grandiose. It may go smaller in scale. But one thing that bad liars don't do well is remain consistent. And we live in a day and age where you could look up a lot of these things that people are saying. So it's just like, real talk. If you feel like someone's lying to you, I guess it's like, now there's different levels of liars too. There are some people that just cannot help but lie. You know what I mean? It's just a part of who they are. You have pathological liars, compulsive liars. You have people that just cannot help it. And I feel like if you're dealing with that, think about how important is it really to you. And if it is, let's say if you're working on a team with someone that's constantly lying, you just got to approach them and just be assertive about it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro, stop. You know what I mean? Like, what's really going on? Like, for real. But I agree. Like, the stories will continuously evolve. They will change a lot. They will not be consistent. And it really takes a lot of work and practice to lie. And I think, honestly, that's just something not a lot of people are willing to do.
Yeah. No, like it's funny that one thing that I think it's hard to sometimes spot a lie because, for example, Wells Fargo got in trouble for like opening fake accounts. Like, how do you really like spot a liar? Because that is, coming from a top level. It was pretty much it was a company issue because, people lost their job at the top, at the exec level because of it was just a bad culture in the company, and it trickled down to all the even the regular employees who are, because the pressure was you got to meet this quota, and the pressure goes down to your day-to-day workers who feel like they have to fluff and start creating fake accounts so they can match and the impact of that is, then their stock prices skyrocketing because they're meeting all of their numbers. So it's just, so I feel like it's hard, but yeah, it's tough, man, because how do you kind of navigate through that? Like, how do you navigate through that? I was trying to think of something else. I was thinking of something else that I kind of lost my thought on it, but I can stop there.
But I think that's some good examples, because I think that as we kind of talked about the degree of the lie, it actually puts some emphasis on, so tying your example with Wells Fargo to, Selasi's point of, does it matter? What's the impact? You don't necessarily need to chase every single lie down and Scooby Doo it and try to figure out, is this person lying? Is this not person lying? Like, it's really kind of always tied to the impact of that lie, right? And to Selasi's point, I do also kind of agree with the premise that if somebody is a bad liar, they're not going to do due diligence, and they're not going to, and they're not going to take the full precautions or steps that they need to do to cover their trail. They may forget the story because it's not, ingrained in them, and then they'll kind of self-expose themselves. I think, as we were talking about in the workplace specifically, if you are exaggerating or you do kind of embellish on your CV and you get the job, please believe you're going to expose yourself and soon, because when they start asking you to do things that are beyond the scope of your ability, you would just expose yourself as a liar, and now you've kind of burned yourself of ever getting an opportunity with that in that company again. I got to look for another company, look for another radio show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I think it's important. Like, I think, because I think you said it though. Like, I think lying on your resume, I think the only time is I would say is okay is when you are maybe like exaggerating a little bit on things that, like you say, you actually are exposed to. But like saying like, oh, I manage 10 people on my team, but you actually have no management experience at all. Mm-hmm. Like, that's like that's a lot. I feel like that's a lot. You are setting yourself up for failure that way. But but yeah, no, I think it's really interesting. Sales. But I mean, what about lies that people are lying to you? Because when you're dealing with sales folks, like there's a lot of fluff that they put in there, and like, okay, it's easy for them to take your money, but when you request for a refund, it's hard to get your money back. But like, that's just me talking shit. But but in reality, like they, like a lot of they have their sales lingo, right? And they just trying to like, upsell you and like kind of give you all this shit. Like, but like, how do you like kind of manage, like, how do you deal with like people knowing they're lying to you? How do you kind of like, spot, like, manage through the lie? How do you find the truth in the midst of all the lies, or the weeds, I would call it?
I would say though, coming from a sales background, a lot of our thinking is push the positive first. Push a lot of the positive. Push as much positive as you can, because naturally there are like some downsides, right? You go buy a car, they're not going to tell you, yo, you're going to enjoy riding this vehicle. It's a luxury vehicle, but this joint might crap out on you in 5 years. But we ain't going to tell you that. We're going to keep pushing the positive. We're going to tell you all the great things you're going to experience in those first 5 years. So it's like with sales, it's kind of like you're told, push the positive and focus on the positive first. Like, what's going to benefit this person? Because obviously this person is looking for something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here in front of me, right? So I kind of feel like sales always gets this bad rep. But apart from that, to really address the question, I feel like, picking it apart, it's just like, it really just depends. Like, I feel like you as an individual, no matter what you're getting into, just have that information on hand. You know what I mean? Like, I think we live in an era now where you can look at people's experiences with things before you buy it. So when you go into that store, you're going to be upsold on it, but you can tell the track record based on other people's experiences, as opposed to just relying solely on what this person, which is their job, is to sell you on this. You know what I mean? How often do our doctors tell us we need a procedure when we may not even really need it? You know what I mean? But they know their insurance they're going to get on this is going to be amazing. You know what I mean? You know that we may be paying their college tuition for their kid. So what do? You get a second opinion. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, as I think the due diligence falls on us as we measure the impact as well. Just knowing how people are, especially when it comes to their jobs. And if they get a commission on something, they're going to try to push a lot of the positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think a good salesperson will also pick on the negative and say, hey, this is a problem that people have experienced, blah, 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 but this is how we're looking to resolve it. So having a mindset where you put the negative first, but you also provide a solution, I think is essential, but also knowing, okay, what is the end goal here? You know what I mean? And just coming in prepared as well, I think is very important.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think I would feel better if someone, tell me the good and at least give me some bad. And I know they are they have my best interests at heart. And I think I would trust them. They probably get mine. Yeah, I would be like, here's my money here. So, but yeah, so thanks for that.
Yeah, so I think that's actually kind of interesting because it goes into something else that I wanted to ask, because sales is a really, really strong example because, I mean, I feel like maybe they're perceived as notorious liars, right? But they're ultimately trying to convince you that they're not lying, right? That they're to ultimately with the objective of getting your money, right? So I do think that's a little bit more in the lines of persuasion, because they're trying to persuade you that, I'm not a liar. You can trust me. Yeah, those other people are lying. Yeah, this is how people normally lie in the industry, but I'm not that person. Give me your money. Trust me. Give me your money. Give me your money. Trust me. You know what I mean? So my question is lying and persuasion different, or, do you see them as the same thing? Let's go with Selassie on this one.
I would say they're different because I can lie to persuade you, but then I could also tell you the truth. Persuasion is merely getting you to fulfill whatever my motive is, or because I want to convince you of something and I want you to believe it. That's purely what persuasion is. I don't have to lie necessarily. Lying could help, lying could hurt. So I don't think they're both one and the same, but really one is a means to an end. So some people will persuade you by lying to you and fluffing you up, and then some people won't. Some people will be direct and they have different approaches to it. So a lie could just be blatantly fabricated, and I could not try to convince you of anything really. I may lie because I just love to lie. You know what I mean? You have some people that are compulsive pathological liars. I just like to lie. This is what I do. You know what I mean? Whether you believe me or not, I get off on the fact that I just lied to you and you just have to eat it. So a liar may not be too caught up in trying to persuade you of something. It just gives them satisfaction just to lie. You know what I mean? On the other end, you persuade someone because you want them to believe what they're being told, because you may have a particular motive in mind. So
yeah, no, I feel you. Now I'm actually struggling with this question because I know there's positive and negative persuasion, and recently I actually just got my tire. I got 2 tires replaced. Usually I do all 4 tires, but I didn't go in there thinking I was gonna replace all 4. But I feel like a part of me was like, I hope they just didn't pull a fast one on me, because they told me I needed to replace my tires. So it's like,
you need those tires. We know.
I was like, yo, like, so yeah, for me, like, because I know, like, for me, like, the way I think of lying is like actually like there's no truth to it at all. But you can also like lie, like you said, Glenn. You can lie and persuade people. You can persuade people via lies, but you can also persuade people through like positive reinforcement. Like for me, I remember when my little brother lived with me, or even like when I always say to people, if I want you to do something, I'm gonna make sure I do the same thing. I'm gonna hold myself accountable for that same action. If my request is you have to every time you have a dirty dish, you clean it or make sure you don't leave anything. Like I'm gonna make sure I hold myself to that same accountability. I kind of at that way I can like hopefully over time I persuade you or influence you, because persuasion comes down to like influence, right? Because you want to influence people's decision, right? So like hopefully with me being like holding myself accountable to whatever that action is, you see I'm a good example of it, and you can change your action. And you can apply that rule to anything. It could
Positive
be at work.
reinforcement.
Yeah, it could be like, positive. It could be for kids, like, don't share your toy or whatever. And like every time they do it, you give them candy or whatever. So like, and just kind of using persuasion to influence change behavior or decision making to like, I think they're that's why I was struggling with that, because when you go to the negative persuasion, there could be a overlap there with lying.
With the lying.
Yeah. So I think there's some overlap, but not a lot. But I do think there's a small overlap there.
Oh, this is awesome. And I actually really appreciate, you guys providing that take. And just for the audience, I've actually just grabbed some Webster definitions. So for a lie is to make an untruth statement with the intent to deceive. And I actually got an example for y'all. So when Shaniqua says she doesn't have your $50, but she's out here looking like Cardi B and City Girls talking about, I want to make my made up. I want to break it, baby. Shaniqua, give me my damn money. Anyway, sorry. Anyway. Persuasion, on the other side, right, is the act of convincing to move by argument, entreaty, exploitation to a belief, position, or course of action. So even if you kind of look at those two definitions, one is more about trying to get someone to do something, while the other one is just really focused on being disingenuous, right? So when we kind of look at persuasion, and we kind of talked about, that there's the negative side of persuasion, and then there's also the positive side of persuasion, but the ultimate goal is to get something, right? You also want to get something. Have you ever used persuasion to get something that you might not have gotten without it? Fran.
Oh, wow. Wow. Have I gotten something without using persuasion? Wow. I got to think about this one. Oh, man.
Maybe convincing somebody to give you something that they wouldn't have given you without it.
I feel like that's every job interview.
Yeah.
That's every job interview.
Yeah, I was. Let me come back to me on this one.
I can even lead off, right? So, all right. And I'll just give the question again. Have you used persuasion to get something that you might not have gotten without it, right? So for me, prime example, all right. I ruptured my Achilles. This is some time back. But I'm actually walking a little bit better now. I'm walking and talking, I'm good, right? But I do travel for work. My doctor's saying I don't necessarily need the boot, but I wear the boot so that way I can persuade these TSA people to let me go through the handicapped side. Now, is that right? I don't know, but I mean, I'm not walking 100%. So, but the truth of the matter is, I really don't necessarily need that extra provision, right? But I do take advantage, and I use my boot to say, let me cut this line. I'm trying to make this flight.
Hell yeah, I agree with that, because fact of the matter, it's not like you're wearing a boot and you never ruptured your Achilles. You in fact ruptured your Achilles. So if there are perks to the instance, then use them joints. And if it's not fully healed, why not? You know what I mean? So that's a great method of persuasion right there, because it is rooted in some truth. But I feel like every job interview, every time you try to get a date, you're using persuasion. You know what I mean? Like, you're usually dressing up nicer than you used to. You're usually probably
Mm,
going somewhere nicer than you would have normally gone by yourself. All these things are
not
like
Taco
methods.
Bell.
Not Taco Bell. You may go on that super expensive dinner like I experienced. You know what I mean? Whether that's voluntarily or involuntarily. Sometimes we put up a different front because we want that person to really catch on to the bait and give us a chance. So I feel like a lot of the good leaders are great persuaders. You know what I mean? Because they know how to rile people up. They know how to let people see their visions. And the only way you can do that is you have the skills necessary to persuade people to do so. Like, how am I going to get you to care about what I believe in if I can't convince you to do that? You know what I mean? With all the stuff that you got going on, yeah, you got to be a great persuader to do that. And I think that's a part of like any great manager or leader. And if you're down this moment, I can get you to do something. Yeah, that's an essential skill, along with the charisma of being able to do so. So yeah, I think it's a necessary skill, especially if you want to get into those high level positions. And that doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to be a liar, but you just have that knack, that nuance of how to get people to do things and believe in what you believe in and fight for those things. That's an important skill.
No, I really love that, Glenn. You killed it. I think, yeah, like, yeah, for some reason I had a brain fart there, but yeah, I like the example, like dating. Yes, like trying to like get that girl to go on a date with you. Like, yes, that those good morning texts. Like,
Facts.
oh man, yep, you hit it right. You hit the nail right in the head. Yeah, I think one thing that actually like really that's more that I can really kind of pull from that's more recent is like getting a promotion from work, and in my job we do like we have a yearly review, and we also have a conversation, review that we have those conversations with our bosses. So one of the things that I struggle with initially when I do my review is kind of boasting about the things you accomplish throughout the year. And so for me to actually be able to like, and I was asking for a promotion. I was like, okay, I need a promotion, blah, blah, blah. I had to like find a way. I had to persuade my boss to let him know, like, I've done this, and this is the impact I've had on the business and on our stakeholders, blah, blah, blah. And this is some of the cost savings that have like, impact to our stake business users and all of this stuff. And some of the project I've been on, this is the actual impact of it. Like this is, some of the work was manual. Now we've automated the process, and this is how much time we're giving back to the business, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm selling myself and persuading my boss, like, you know what? Your boy's ready for that next level. It's time to sign that check, So so that's something that I would definitely say, I had to like, definitely influence to get what I wanted, and I wouldn't have gotten it without doing that. But I do appreciate Glenn's comment about leaders too, because like when I look at like even like all of our key skills for leaders, because even when we do our reviews, there's a set of skills, and we have to rate ourselves, like, where are you with all of this skills level? Like, can you influence? Can you like resolve conflict? Can you like blah blah blah? Can you communicate with stakeholders? Can you influence decision stuff like? And I think that really comes down to how can you influence people to persuade people, because especially when you are not the business, and you like are like, for me, I work in IT. We have to be able to influence people to like, sometimes what you want actually may not be what you think you want, and we have to actually talk through it, like, okay, this is the pros and cons. Let's actually maybe pull back the curtain a little bit, and let's revisit this topic. Are you sure this is what you want? So, and it takes a great leader, like you said, or even a great manager to help kind of drive some of those conversations to like to get to the end goal, or whatever, the output that you think is more ideal for that situation. So yeah, I definitely appreciate your those input, Glenn.
Yeah. And I think that, and it's actually kind of great, because I think that this actually leads into our last question. Is this a skill people should work on, and why? And I'll actually just kind of start this off. I know Selassie's already kind of provided some examples, aka Mr. G Ransom has also provided some examples as to why, where the value of persuasion is. I'll recommend if you haven't read The Art of Negotiation by Michael Wheeler, it's a good book. But it does also talk to the values of persuasion. And in order to kind of advance in life and kind of get what you want, you're always going to be negotiating. You're always going to be kind of expressing where your value sits, why your value may be higher or lower than what somebody else perceives it as, and going back and forth. And that's through all things, that's through all facets of life. If you're trying to expand in your career, as my cousin mentioned, you have those periodic reviews. You're just thinking like, oh, I just do my job. Obviously I do my job. I'm great at my job. You should promote me. But you need to be able to, persuasion is more than just the convincing and the argument, but it's also trying to emphasize why you are qualified, why you're eligible for the next thing, right? So it is definitely something that I think is a skill that, everyone should ultimately hone, or at least get familiar with it. Because if you don't know how to convince people or speak, in a strong belief about something, it's how else can you motivate other people to kind of look at that thing the way you're looking at it, right? If you have a business, that you hitting this up and you want to be on a rep yours, but I ask you about your business and you can't even really speak to what your business is about. How on earth are you about to get on our rep yours? We don't. You have no passion in your own business.
Damn.
I'm
Major
sorry. And
facts.
I know somebody heard that and they know I'm talking to them. You have no passion in your
Damn.
own business. So why are we going to shout your
Wow.
business out? You need to persuade us that we need to promote you. Same
Yeah.
thing as we, as a pod, we're trying to persuade y'all that we provide value. And I think that we continue to do that, So, as you guys, take a second and just take a second to kind of dive back into that question. Is this a skill that people should work on, and why?
Yeah, so I'm gonna let Glenn finish us up, and so I'll go next. Yeah, definitely. I think it's important. I think we already kind of hit it, like hit the nail on the head with why we should. To kind of add another book to it is Dale Carnegie, How to Influence Friends and People. That's another book that people should look into. Like, it's just kind of influence have so much power.
Mm-hmm.
It can make or break someone's career, literally. And so for me, I think it's one of those critical skill set for, especially if you have high level career aspiration to climb. If you're a corporate person, or even not even a corporate person, like in Dale's book, he used like a restaurant person as an example. He's like the person, like when he knows every person's name that walk into the restaurant, like by the time they leave, he names every single person that sat at the table, and he's able to, like, just imagine how much power and influence you have when, like, you can call everybody that you just served by their first name. Like, mind blown. Like, so just imagine taking some of those small skills like that and applying it to like a greater, like you said, because a business, like, especially when you start, like when you are in a service kind of job, those are like some of the soft skills that's well needed to kind of flourish and kind of take your company or even your career to the next level. So yeah. And how do you learn that? I think it's the skills that you can learn. I think there's a lot of great books out there. I think we already kind of dropped two already for you guys. I think one thing that you can also do is actually getting feedback from people, and you just let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to work on. And when you find yourself in situations where you are trying to influence people, you can get feedback like, how did I do? Was that like what actually made you make this decision? Was it based on what I said, or was it just, then you can kind of like use some of those feedback to really grow the confidence of kind of see where you are, and you can actually track your progress. So, but yeah, just kind of want to drop that in there.
Facts. And yeah, just to wrap it up on my end, I definitely agree. Persuasion is a valuable perhaps necessary skill. If you're trying to get that mortgage, trust, you're gonna have to persuade these lenders to give you that money. And that's gonna be I think it really leads you to live a different type of way. It's gonna lead you to live the most integrity and disciplined life as you possibly could, because the best method of persuasion is by doing and showing. And once other people see and can actually really perceive and see and objectify what it is that you do and how you got to where you are, that's how you're going to win more people to banner under your influence. And if you're looking for a managerial role, leader role, heck, if you have children, if you have friends, you're going to have to persuade them. And in most cases, that's by doing. And the better you are at something, trust and believe. Like, we see it all the time. Floyd Mayweather gets into the ring. He's marvelous, right? So he makes you think, oh, shit, I could go up in there and do that too. You know what I mean? It's just like, until you get Willie Lump 2-3 times, you realize, you know what? There's actually levels to this. But that's just shows you. I feel like as human beings, we really thrive off of that engagement and that experience and that influence. And if you use it in a positive way, I think you can actually get the change that you're looking for, especially as we look at some of the issues that are impacting us on a day-to-day. And there's a lot more persuasion needed in order to make these changes happen. And we all play a part essentially in that. And I think it's something that we all work on. And as you said, negotiation is a part of life, and it is. If you want to live the best possible life that you can live, it's a necessary skill you need in your toolkit. And there are so many ways to learn that, but I think it all starts internally within, understanding your purpose, what it is that you want to achieve, and how you can other people to understand what you want as well. So if you see somebody on the deep end, you may be that positive influence or positive motivation for them to kind of change their lives. So why wouldn't you want that opportunity? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and that's two strong takes right there. And you know what? In closing, I'll just say this: there are times to lie and times to tell the truth, but the good and the bad of this is not so black and white, and may be more attributed to the consequences than the action itself. Also, there are those that use persuasion every day, and even if you aren't planning to master it for use, I recommend you should, make an effort to learn when it's being used on you, or you too may end up borrowing Shaniqua $50. All right, everybody, that's our show. In closing, for more content or to learn more about the podcast, feel free to check us out at JerkJollofandCollard Pod on Instagram. Podcast episodes drop every Wednesday. Stay tuned for the outro coming right after this to learn additional ways to reach us and send us your feedback. Be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Like what you're hearing? Feel free to leave us a review on your preferred streaming platform of choice. See you all again next week. Peace.
Bye, Shaniqua. Miss you.
Bye, Shaniqua. Give me my money.
Let me get that $50. Yo, you killed that, cuz. I see you, baby.
And that concludes today's episode, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to end. As a matter of fact, feel free to check us out at JJC Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter for our post-discussion question following the release of this episode. If you are a Black or minority business owner or professional that would like to be featured on the Rep Yours segment of our show, or a listener with some general feedback for the podcast panel, feel free to shoot us an email at jjcpod@gmail.com. As always, likes and comments are always appreciated. Be sure to subscribe or follow to be notified when the next episode releases. And until then, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.